Now we move on to the fourth type of data visualization structure, that is spatial temporal. Spatial temporal are two different parameters that are used to measure a position or location of an object at a specific time. First, let us define what is spatial data. Spatial refers to space and locations. For example, every object on the earth, like house, trees, city, has its own unique latitude and longitude coordinates. And the common spatial data is a geographic component such as cities, state, and postcodes. And there are two primary types of spatial data. The first one is vector data, where it refers to points, lines, and polygons that consist of vertices and paths. And second is raster data. So it represents grid cells that represent the real-world feature on a map. So spatial data can be represented using choropleth map, dot density map, and also proportional symbol map. And we are going to look at the three types, okay, of these spatial data in the next slide. Then temporal data. So temporal refers to a state in time. So the characteristics for temporal visualization is data are linear and in one-dimensional measurement, and temporal visualizations normally feature lines that are either standalone or overlap with each other with a start and finish time. And as we know, time can also provide conflicting answers depending on whether it is measured in seconds, minutes, hours, days, or even years. And this temporal data can be represented using various types of chart representation. For example, we can use bar chart, okay, as long as we have the element of time, okay, on one of the axis, okay. So we can represent the temporal data using bar charts, stacked bar charts, line graphs, Gantt chart, polar area diagram, scatter plot diagram, heat map diagram, stack area chart, sparkline, and column sparkline. Okay, so you can go to this link to explore further on these different types of representation for temporal data. So the first type of spatial data representation is choropleth map. So if you find this kind of representation, so this is a type of choropleth map. Okay, so it displays divided geographical areas or region that are colored, shaded, and patterned in relation to a data variable. And this representation provides a way to visualize values over a certain geographical area, which can show variation or patterns across the displayed location. And the data variable uses color progression, okay, as you can see in the value legend here, to represent itself in each region of the map. Okay, so this specific area, okay, on this map, okay, is called region. And typically this can be a blending from one color to another color in a single hue progression, or in transparent to opaque, light to dark, or an entire color spectrum. Okay, so we can visualize this representation by looking at the color intensity, okay, because it represents the density of information on that specific region. So the downside of a choropleth map is that in terms of the color usage, that you cannot accurately read or compare values from the map, okay, and normally the larger regions will appear more emphasized than the smaller ones. So this will actually take the viewer's perception of the shaded values affected. Okay, so they are affected by looking at the size of the area. Okay, and the common area when producing a choropleth map is that they normally encode raw data values, which refers to the population, okay, of that specific region. Population is the number, okay, of data, okay, in that specific region. Okay, that is called population. Okay, the collection um, of data. Okay, and rather than using the normalized values, which is we are supposed to plot, okay, the values with normalized values on this choropleth map, okay, where the normalized values is actually calculating the population per square kilometer, okay, among the whole map, okay, and then in order to produce the density. So meaning that the intensity level of the color for a specific region should be represented, okay, from a calculation of population per square kilometers. Okay, so rather than using the raw data of the population numbers, okay, for that specific region area. So it is more accurate, okay, to plot, okay, the number or the data based on calculation of population per square kilometer, okay, so that it will be evenly distributed, okay, for the whole region. um not evenly, but then it will be fairly distributed across the region. And there is another representation of visualization that is similar to choropleth map, okay, but it doesn't use geographic boundaries map, okay, that is called heat map visualization. Okay, so it is if you go to the back previous slide, okay, so heat map is also used in temporal data, okay, so it still also use color density, okay, to visualize, okay, data over the heat map. Okay, for more explanation, please go through this link. Okay, you can get more explanation about the anatomy of choropleth map. Okay, so the second one is we have dot density map. Okay, it is similar to choropleth map, but instead of using colors or shades to represent a region, it use a dot. Okay, so the more dots that you can find in a region, it shows that, okay, the number of population or the data is more dense for that particular region. Okay, so this is another way of representing spatial visualization. And the third one is we have proportional symbol map. Okay, so we use symbol, for example, circle to represent the density of information for a certain region. Okay, so for spatial visualization, because it represents geographic information, so we need a map, okay, to represent, okay, data where it is being located. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you want to use shaded color to color shades to represent a region, or you can use dot, or you can use a symbol map. They are all the same thing. Okay, now we move on to how do we combine or look into spatial temporal in one representation. Okay, so as we know, spatial refers to space and temporal refers to time. So spatial temporal, or also called spatial temporal, is used in data analysis to describe certain phenomenon when data is collected across space or location and time. So the primary goals of spatial temporal analysis are prediction and description. Okay, so for example, it describes a phenomenon in a certain location and time. Okay, if you can see the data about shipping movements, okay, across a geographic area over time. Okay, so that is one representation, okay, of how we can understand, okay, the data for this kind of business. Okay, so you can see that in this figure example. Okay, so we have, okay, the records of the ship type, okay, and then the records of the ship length, okay, and then this is the records of date, okay, of the movement of the vessel. Okay, so we can locate the movement, okay, of shipping, okay, from one place to another place over the time. Okay, so a person that uses spatial temporal reasonings actually they use this data to help them to solve multi-step problems by envisioning how objects move in space and time. Okay, and for example, if we want to check, okay, a flight movement, okay, for example, you're waiting for your family to arrive, okay, from United Kingdom to Malaysia, so you can trace the movement of the air flight, okay, at which longitude, latitude the flight is actually moving, where it has when the time it has landed in terms of the fuel usage and so on. So this kind of data is used to represent, okay, or to track the movement, okay, of an object, okay, meaning that the movement refers to the geographical location and also over the time. Time is the second elements or parameters, okay, that is needed, okay, in order to analyze this kind of information. So application, okay, for this spatial temporal data analysis include the study of biology as well, okay, ecology, meteorology, medicine, transportation, and also forestry. So this spatial temporal data visualization analysis can be challenging because, as we know, space has many unlimited direction, so it can go up, down, okay, we can, meaning that we can define, okay, direction, whether from up to down or sideways, okay, from north to south, east, west, while the time can only go forward. So it is very you mean we have more options, many options, so we have to specifically define, okay, for direction, which types of direction that we want to go, okay, that we want to choose to represent the data. Okay, so because time cannot go backward, it just go forward, that's why it's linear. Okay, and combining and assessing the two factors of time and space can be very complex. Okay, and the data can produce different results depending on how space is defined. For example, we can use, okay, zip code, okay, or a census area or a state. Okay, and then time can also provide conflicting answers, as we have discussed in the previous slide. Okay, because it depends on whether it is measured in seconds, minutes, hours, days, or years. So we have also to define, okay, define the context of our data in terms of the location, okay, and in terms of the dimension of time to be used for the analysis.